Welcome to our first meeting for the 2020 year in Stockton. Thank you for attending. I have noticed something. Generally, sometimes we have idiosyncrasies on seating, but I see all the people sitting right there to make a quick exit. I see the door right there. So I understand you there, okay?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's all there. Generally, you have them in the middle here. Okay, we're reconvening to our regular meeting, so the roll says that all the board members are present. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Report on actions from closed session. We have numerous actions, so I will go as quickly as possible on this. Placement of non-public school students new to 2019-2020. Ms. McFarland, motion. Mr. Neely, second, that the board approve the placement of 2019-20 non-public school students number 15 through 87. The vote was 7-0. Placement of non-public school students, that's a renewal for 2019-2020. Ms. McFarland, motion. Gary Knaxak, second, to approve placement of the 2019-2020 non-public school students numbers 1 on to, and the vote was 6-1. Motion carries. Placement of non-public school students changes. Ron Freitas, motion. Ron Heberly, second. The board approved placement of 2019-2020 non-public school students number 38, 59, 61, 66, 73, and 77 by a vote of 5-2. Motion carries. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, potential case OAH case number 2019-12-0346. Gary Knaxak, motion. George Neely, second, and to approve the case by a vote of 5-2. Motion carries. Personnel matters, appointment of high school principal Adam Arbach at Lodi High School. Ron Freitas, motion. Susan McFarland, second, to approve the appointment of Adam Arbach at the high school principal in Lodi High, effective date February 5th, 2020, by the following vote of 7-0. Motion carries. Personnel matter, appointment of elementary principal Cassandra Sotelo. George Neely, motion. Susan McFarland, second, to approve the appointment of Cassandra Sotelo at elementary school, Oakwood Elementary School, effective February 5th, 2020, by the following vote of 7-0. Personnel matters, appointment of Assistant Director of Child Development, School Readiness, and Preschool Services. George Neely, motion. Ron Heberly, second, to approve the appointment of Katie Magana as Assistant Director of Child Development, School Readiness, and Preschool Services, effective February 5th, 2020, by the following vote of 7-0. Motion carries. Personnel matter, Resolution 2020-17, release non-reelection of temporary certificate employees. Susan McFarland, motion. Gary Knaxak, second. The board approved Resolution 2017, release dash non-reelection of temporary certificated employees by the following vote of 7-0. Personnel matter, Resolution 2018, release dash non-reelection of probationary certificated employees. George Neely, motion. Gary Knaxak, motion. George Neely, second, to approve the Resolution 2018 release dash non-reelection of probationary certificated employees by a following vote of 7-0. That concludes our closed session business. We have a recognition of Lodi Esport teams. Dr. Washer, are you in charge of this?
Actually, I'm going to turn that over to Edith.
Edith,
Oh,
okay,
thank you.
Edith.
Good evening.
I got it.
Edith Albert, Lodi Unified School District. Good evening, President Nava, members of the board, and Dr. Washer. So please indulge me for just a few minutes before we get to our amazing athletes. And let me share a story with you from my perspective.
I don't
No,
believe
very
so.
well. We have
How
it on,
about
Joe.
now?
Do we have Susan?
How about now? Okay.
Can you hear me now?
So it is my privilege this evening to speak before you on the subject of esports from multiple perspectives. First, as a district employee, director of technology, a founding member of the new Central California Esports League, and most importantly, a parent. And it is from this perspective that my story with esports begins. In the summer of 2017, my son, who I wish could be here tonight, but even though he has a mind of an engineer, he has a heart of a soldier, and so he is at PT training at the recruiter's office tonight. He asked my husband and I, can I join the esports club at school? At the time, I knew nothing about esports, and my response was this: are you crazy? You want us to sanction you spending time in your room on your computer. I imagine that, as I think back probably in days gone by, that was probably a similar response that parents gave to their students when they said, hey, I want to join the football team. So we fast forward a few months, and I have an email arrives in my inbox from Dr. Washer. Hey, I think we should look at this esports. So I started doing some investigating, trying to figure out, okay, what is this world of esports? I didn't know a capital LOL from a capital L, little o, and big L. I didn't know what they were talking about. As it so happens, a few months later, I'm at Ben Holt Saturday School with my son, and I hear over the PA, hey, parents, if you're interested in esports, come to room so-and-so. So I grabbed my purse, grabbed my son, and off we went. So at the meeting, I learned that Aspire Schools was looking for to start competitive esports team. From this meeting and subsequent meetings and an introduction to Dr. Woodruff, I was determined to ensure that Lodi USD schools and their students were able to be part of the first teams in our area. With Mr. Palmquist's blessing at the next 9/12 principals meeting, I offered to any of the principals to sponsor the first esports team. And while he's not here tonight, Mr. Sandstrom was all over it. But his coach, John Medina, is here. So, and that's where we started. So the 2018-19 season started with Tokay High School, Ben Holt College Prep, and Langston Hughes. And in the spring, we added Plaza Robles. Tokay and Ben Holt kind of swept the first two seasons. And then in the 1920 fall season, we've seen the addition of McNair High School, Liberty High School, Lodi High, Lincoln High School, and St. Mary's. And I'm sure that some of our students will share in a few minutes, but McNair absolutely dominated both JV and varsity levels.
Congratulations.
In this upcoming spring season, we look to add Valley Robotics and Bear Creek, and I've also heard Ripon, Manteca. So we're growing. There's tremendous interest out there. So just recently, on the 18th of January, in partnership with Sound King County Office of Education Code Stack, we held our fall championship. And this event was just what Dr. Woodruff and I had hoped for our students, and we do have a short video on that. Michael, please.
Back here.
Oh, that big thing?
Yeah.
If you are what you say you are, a super Did you improve on the design? Did you do something new? When your name in on the guest list, who brung you? You, the more famous person you come through, and the sexy lady next to you, you come to. And then the hitman standing outside of heaven waiting for God to come and get me. I'm too uncool, unschooled to the rules, and too gon' shoot. Too much of a newcomer and too uncool. Like shadow in the veil, I battle with it well. Though I need a holiday like lady who's unblue. Go back, whatever you did, you undo. Heavy as heaven, the devil on me 2 times 2. What you say are a superstar, then have no fear. You can't see her and the microphones. Yeah. And you better wear your shades, the spotlight's here. Now that's important to say, 'cause even with all that, most of us don't want it to fade. We wanted to break, meaning we wanted to grow, meaning we wanted to stay. Like the governor called and told us to quit. Unstrapped from the chance, was back in his cage.
Thank you, Michael. So the event was awesome, and we hope to see many of you at our spring championship match in May. So I was asked what could be done to help promote esports in Lodi USD, and my answer is simply this: recognize and support these fantastic student athletes and their coaches as you do with any other Lodi USD athletic or academic team. If I had known then what I know now, my response to my son would be much different. Competitive esports provides our students with opportunities that go well beyond their high school years. There are opportunities for college scholarship and a whole host of industry-related careers. Now, this story was made possible by a group of individuals dedicated to our students and esports. First of all, I would like to thank members of Technology Services staff, one of them who we have here tonight, Mr. Jeff Bartlett, who basically figured out what we needed to run esports in the district. And I've heard from other directors in other districts, and their response is usually, "You're not running that on my network." But we took a different approach. And also Dr. Richard Woodruff, co-founder, my partner in crime here, who's now with San Joaquin County Office. And by the way, that doctor in front of his name, we know that cost some dollars to earn. And he helped fund that by his professional esports winnings. Okay. Also, our first administrator to step up, Eric Sandstrom from Tokay, and then Yuri from Plaza Robles, and then we also have Tammy and Mark here as well. So, and all of our coaches who have dedicated time to their teams: John Medina from Tokay, Satrina Truber from Plaza, Dallas McNair from McNair, Mark Trevino from Lodi High, and David Johnson from Liberty. And most importantly, all of our remarkable Lodi USD esports athletes. It's a new word, and I just learned a new one from Leonard tonight. I'm not a soccer mom, I'm a toggle mom.
That's good.
So I hope that our coaches and our players would come up and share their experience and their story with esports.
Hello, my name is Richard Woodruff, and I'm with SJCOE, and thank you, Edith, for everything that she's done. Thank you, Lodi Unified School District, for everything you guys have done. Without this collaboration together, we wouldn't be approaching 16 high schools, and I can just see it growing bigger and bigger after that. We have other counties that are becoming interested in this as well. So just a big thank you to Edith, big thank you to Lodi, the athletes, the coaches, the educators, the site leaders. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you all for making this happen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could we have the athletes stand up?
Yeah, we have some participants, Edith.
Yeah.
Awesome.
McNair Varsity, our Plaza, and Tokay, and I think I have everybody. I know the young man in the middle was our MVP.
All right.
Would you like to share? Any experience? Why don't you tell them the cool stuff you won? And also, I want to know how long you've been playing, because that's incredible. But introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Ryan Crisostomo. I'm a senior at McNair, and I'm the varsity team captain, as well as the MVP. So going to the competition, that when I was given the award for MVP, I was also given this gaming chair, which I later looked up was like $150, something like that. And I also was given 1 terabyte SSD, which was also about like $100. I guess I started playing since like elementary school, so like 4th grade, 5th grade, and currently like we are in season 9, 10 of League of Legends, and I started in season 2. So it's been 8 whole seasons that I've been playing and enjoying this game. And I guess it's been a dream of mine to have esports in McNair, because I've always wanted to show a more competitive side about myself. And so when I heard it was coming to McNair, it was like a dream to me. Mostly because I started out junior, senior year, not even contacting my McNair staff, but contacting Dr. Woodruff myself through email, because I just heard about this opportunity from Ben Holt students. And this urged me to want to help form something new at McNair.
Anybody else? Any brave volunteers? Come on down. Come on down. This is your opportunity to shine.
Long walk of silence. My name's George Stingy. I've been playing on Tokay for all 3 seasons that it's been active. So I just started the game last year when Medina was talking to us. I always go into his class every so often. Hey, there's an esports club starting up. I was like, okay. So I did it, and I did it last year. I was on JV last year for both seasons, and I think we lost both times, but that's okay. And then I was on varsity this year. It's a very challenging game. It's not an easy game, and it's a lot of teamwork and chemistry within your team, like any other sport. And I really enjoy that, because if you don't have a bond built with your team or knowledge of the game, you don't go anywhere. So it's been an awesome experience with my team, and also Mr. Medina being an awesome coach. So, and everybody else is really fun to play against. So we're all good sports in the end. So no, thank you.
Very nice.
I'll just make one more closing comment. I can attest to how difficult the game is. This is a real gray-haired lady 70 gamer's tag. I had one of the students at the event ask me, is that a real summoner's name? I said, yeah, it is. Now, I didn't want to admit that I can't get past the tutorial of the game, but, the truth is the truth. You can't hide it. Anyway, this has been an exciting experience for me. I've learned a lot, especially, get out of the way of your son and let him achieve, and get out of the way of the students and let them achieve what they are so passionate about. So, thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Mr. Neely. Thank you, Ms. Nava. First of all, Edith, you said you need support. You got my support, 100% on this. I started writing down all the names and just went too fast, and I couldn't think fast enough and all that kind of stuff. So I want to thank everybody that participated in this. Dr. Woodruff, thank you so much for your help on this. We really appreciate it. Ryan and George, nice job, guys. It's not easy to get up here and talk in front of people like that. You guys did a fantastic job. Thank you very much. I'm going to mention one person that you didn't mention who was very excited about this, and that's Dr. Washer. When this thing first started up, She was all in on it, and I think you probably had something to do with that, telling her about it and all that. But you did a great job on this, Dr. Washer. So thank you all so much, and we'll keep it going. I want to see Middle College needs to get something going, you know? Middle College High. That's all I got. Thank you.
Great going. Thank you, George. Yeah. Mr. Everly?
Thank you, Mr. Nava. One of the things that, from the presentation that I kind of grasped was the can-do attitude of the people who were trying to form this. It's like, yeah, how can we do this? What are we doing? It was, let's go for it. Let's figure out our resources. Let's figure out who we can talk to and make it happen. And it takes that push to get these things going. And students, it's great to be able to experience things like this. You'll remember those competitions and those games and the people that you associate with your whole life, you know, and that's great. And really, a lot of it is, when we say education, we're talking about the comprehensive education, which means stuff that goes outside, whether it's athletics, speech and debate, band, esports. And I love the term, wait a minute, athletes. I've never heard of it. That's great. You got your own word now, see? So anyway, it's just that whole experience, that whole comprehensive experience in education that means a lot. And everybody fits somewhere. So congratulations. Keep it going.
Mr. Freitas?
President Nava,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank my colleagues for their comments, and I couldn't agree more. League of Legends, if you don't know what that means, it's been explained to me as a neophyte that it's simply a capture the flag type event. But it has 5 different players, it's a team, there's strategy involved, leadership. I got to go to the County Office of Education, and on a screen like twice the size of this, they had the players up there with commentary from some local stars. And you talk about a standing room only event that was packed with excitement, and people were so excited for their accomplishment, and you know, our students were the stars of it. It was a great event, and it was an amazing event. I can't encourage people to go there enough, especially since I started on Pong. So, you know, you talk about night and day.
What's that?
Yeah, but you know, this happens because of so many great things. Dr. Washer for making this happen. Edith, your technology department has always been a can-do type technology department, and not one that puts up barriers in the way. And when faced with this challenge, our district rose, and what an opportunity we provide to our students. There's so much more going on here than just kids playing video games. There's sportsmanship, there's teamwork, there's a code of conduct that they work amongst together, building each other up to bring this stuff forward. And we're reaching out to an unrepresented group that may not have these opportunities otherwise. And, you know, I'll talk like the parent in the room. It's yet another hook for these kids to come to school and excel. You know, McNair students, you're wearing your academic decathlon sweatshirts. What a great crossover. These kids have to maintain grades to stay on the team, and their coaches were quick to tell me that they do. And they spend as much time playing as they do studying and making sure these grades are going on. And what a great opportunity for Liberty and Plaza, that these students now have an opportunity to shine in our district is absolutely amazing. When asked, and not only are we getting more graduates, a reason for kids to come to school and do great things while at school, but they are talking about going on to college. There are careers in this, in programming and game playing and consulting and game making, that are out the wazoo, and more than you can shake a stick at. Quick to point out, one of the YouTube gamers is now making how many $1 million? You guys know. Yeah.
All of them. Yeah.
$10 million, which I mean rivals our pro sport athletes, and you guys have much better knees than they do at the end of your career.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. So, one, that Lodi had the foresight to be on this, talks a lot about the great people that we have there, and two, the support that all of you gave this. I tell you, I can't be thrilled enough. I enjoyed being able to attend it, and I can't wait for the next one. I'll be there. So you have my full support. Very great job. Thank you.
I'll just say, I just repeat everything they just said. Good job. And
Okay.
by the way, the last game I did actually understand was Pong.
Okay. All right, thank you, Gary. Anybody else? Okay, Edith, thank you. That's a wonderful story that you related to us. Thank you, Dr. Woodruff, for your collaboration with her and help. And I want to congratulate all the players and all the coaches. You know, you have a coach, and that coach, I'm sure he has a lot of input on strategy, like you mentioned, chemistry, and that type of thing. And I want to congratulate the principals for their support on this e-sport. It's a coming thing. Again, very good job. Thank you. Continue on with the agenda, we have our superintendent.
Mr. President, I
Yes,
just had
sir.
a question. So you mentioned that it was in May. Is there a date for the competition?
May 23rd.
23rd.
But we have so many schools now that fingers crossed it will make it by that deadline.
Okay. Keep us posted, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Thank you so much to our esports teams for being here. I do want to acknowledge Edith and her work in that. She was phenomenal. One little email just sent her spinning, and she just did a fantastic job. I also want to acknowledge Mr. Medina from Tokay High School. Being the first coach for our district was not only a huge task, but I'm sure that's what generated a lot of the enthusiasm, not only for Tokay, but for other schools to join, because he created such a great program. So I want to thank you for being the first coach and recognizing you. I did go see one of their competitions, didn't understand much of what was going on, but boy, it looked good. So. I want to thank Bear Creek staff, administration, custodial team, theater teacher for allowing us to be here and doing such a great job with getting things ready for us. Thank you, Edith, and your department for all the work you did to make this happen, to all the setup, making sure that it's live streamed and all the tech things are working. So I know that it was a huge effort. Thank you very much for doing that as well. A couple announcements for you. Middle College High School Academic Decathlon Team. We have a photo here. Middle College took first place Saturday at the county's 39th annual San Joaquin County Academic Decathlon. The team received a plaque and the Dave Sorgent Perpetual Winners Cup for the next year and the right to represent the county in the state championship in Sacramento, March 26th through 29th. With all fees paid by the San Joaquin County Office of Education's Foundation. Congratulations to Middle College High School. Yeah, clap. Unified Sports Basketball League, we've brought you this information in the past and you've been very excited to see their work. The culminating showcase of the United Sports Basketball League involving all the participating high schools will be on February 13th at 10:30 at Bear Creek High School. So I know that some of you will want to attend. That's February 13th at 10:30 here. Kudos to the Lodi High School students for contributing to CHP Stockton's Operation Barbie Dream House. Students joined others in donating gifts and toys to 3 military families who had their property stolen while on active duty relocation during the holidays. CHP Stockton delivered the donations to the families in Washington. And we have some other photos here from our Choices program. This is from Millswood Middle School. Choices is a collaboration between Got Kids Foundation and the Lodi Chamber of Commerce. Lodi Chamber of Commerce gets volunteers, trains them to present a program to all 8th graders in Lodi, and it's geared towards helping students realize that the choices they make today impact their future. So they've been doing this for a couple years now, and it's funded by Got Kids. I want to thank the Got Kids Foundation as well as the Chamber for putting this together. It's always well received by our students, and the teachers say that it's a fantastic program. Larson Elementary School conducted a coin drive for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, something that's near and dear to their hearts, and they are putting a Harry Potter twist on the fundraiser, and we have a little video for you.
So local elementary school is looking up ways to money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yeah, they got a unique twist on the way that they raise the stakes and see who can collect the most change.
Actually, we've been doing this live with their progress and how you can help.
Yes, you guys, I'm putting in my boxing moves because that's exactly what's going down. They were just doing a little trash talking, weren't you guys? Yeah, they're having so much fun here at Larson Elementary School. It is all for a good cause. They told me we're going to be raising money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And we're doing it Harry Potter way, or the Harry Potter style. I said, what does that even mean? You can tell me what that means.
Well, our whole entire school was sorted into houses. We have 8 fabulous houses, and so we're making the competition. Each house is going to be raising money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it's a positive, friendly competition. Even though Altair, he might win.
She's already thrown out her color, the house yellow.
Yes, and these are our fabulous house leaders that are in charge of our Make-A-Wish charity.
Okay, we're going to talk to the house leaders in just a little bit, but for Larson Elementary School, the Make-A-Wish Foundation is very near and dear to their heart. They have 2 staff members whose kids were personally touched and lives changed by Make-A-Wish. Mrs. Lawrence, I got that right. Let's show a photo of your family at Disney World. Tell us what Make-A-Wish has meant to you.
Going through something like that as a parent, a child, and as a family member, Make-A-Wish kind of it's not just for the kids, it's actually for the whole family itself. They planned everything, they organized everything that you could possibly dream of. So it took the relief of the parent responsibility off and just made it be a whole bonding experience for the whole family itself.
Incredible. And Mrs. Kiefer, same for you, your family. Really, things have changed for you because of Make-A-Wish. And we have a photo of your family as well. Tell us what they've done.
Well, my son was 15, turning 16 when he had cancer and 4 rounds of chemo. So when Make-A-Wish came on the scene, all he was thinking about was driving. And so they helped with a car, a 77 Chevelle. And so it gave him something to hope for, something to dream for. And it really was an amazing experience. And he still has it. I mean, it's so special. He can't get rid of it. That's his Make-A-Wish.
He's going to have that forever. Absolutely, the Make-A-Wish card. And of course, now the students completely hands-on here and helping raise money for that foundation. So let's just meet the students here. Tell me your name.
I'm Sean.
And your house name is?
I'm Laura.
All right. So what does Make-A-Wish mean to you? Why was it so important for you to do this with your classmates?
It's really important because it helps people with who are special, and just one wish can just change a life. Just change people. They ask them what's one thing that you would like to do, and they say it, and
what you gonna share? Right there it is. And then yes, they have their jars already, money filling up to the top. Tell me your name.
My name is Hazel.
Hi, Hazel. And your house name?
Regulus.
All right, cool. Go Orange, right? What are you doing to raise money?
We are collecting spare change from our house, our houses at home, and we're taking money that we spend on buying things for us by giving it to them.
Okay, I like that. Okay, we're gonna breathe to the water. We got 30 more seconds left. Okay, tell me your name.
My name is Casey.
And your house?
Altair.
Okay, now remember Casey said, I don't like the Niners, I like the
Raiders.
Okay, tell me your house.
There it is. My name is Vermont. I'm the house of Mira. Isaac from the house of Noctula. Isabella from the house of Vega. Simon from the house of Pixis.
Oh, Simon, it's going down. I feel like Grace's gonna win.
Yeah, they are actually the winning house this week.
Oh, there it is.
Please make a check out to the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and these will be brought here. We will mail them in. You will get a tax ID and a tax receipt, as well as an acknowledgement letter from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we're really hoping to raise as much money as we can.
There it is. Let's do that dance again. Okay, that's it. We're gonna win dance. Thank you so much, guys. Larson Elementary School here, helping raise money for Make-A-Wish. Everybody, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Washer, for your report. Are you finished?
I'm sorry, Mr. Palmquist. We just want to share real quickly an exciting project that we have in the works. Mr. Palmquist is just going to give you a taste.
Thank you, Dr. Washer, President Nava, members of the board. Dr. Washer asked me to share just a preview on a pretty big project we've been working on with Delta College. With the board's direction and guidance over a long period of time, they've asked us to keep exploring early college options, dual enrollment options for our students. And so soon you're going to get a report, and we will likely have a dean from Delta College here as well to announce what started as a small proposition on their part, and I suggested that maybe it be something that we open up to the entire district. Opportunity for 8th grade students for potential extracurricular after-school cohort that could help them attend their local high school, but also earn an AA degree. And so I'll be very excited to share that with you. And Dr. Washer asked that I give you a little preview of what's coming, because it's something that we've been working on for some time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Exciting.
That concludes your report,
Yes,
Dr. Washer. Thank you very much. Comments from the public. A 20-minute time period has been set aside for the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda. Each public speaker shall limit his or her comments to 3 minutes, but is welcome to distribute any materials to the board or staff. Due to the restrictions imposed by the California Brown Act regarding discussing topics that are not on the agenda, board members may not engage in dialogue about the issue. We have 3 reports. We have Chris Beach. Chris?
Good evening. I'm here to talk to you about the shortage of workers that we have in our district right now. That's not new news to anybody here, but have you thought about the serious effects this has on our students? A custodian barely has time to clean their school, but when they have to clean a carpet from a nosebleed, a few classes that had children getting sick in them, they don't really have time to clean everything else as much as they need to, especially even toilets in the bathroom. Think about that the next time you're sitting on a district toilet. Secretaries and clerks are often the ones that give our children their first aid. I have seen a 3-person office operating with only 1 person and no principal. Think about that the next time you call to try and get information on an incident. Food service workers go to work sick because there's no one to sub for them. They get other employees and other students sick. What if one of them misreads a thermometer? Instead of 165, it's 155. Now you have a staff outbreak. How can you implement LCAP goals without enough teachers or paras to do the work? They're not here. They're in other districts because they pay more and have better benefits. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We are well down that road of insanity, since we keep thinking we can pay bare minimum and still attract a workforce. It is not right that our children are put in harm's way when we don't have to do that. We have the money. There's no reason to have a $70 million plus carryover from one school year to the next, when you can put that money to good use in having the people there to take care of our children. Show us our children matter and that they are not just dollar signs for the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Okay, Amy Wilson.
Hello and good evening. My name is Amy Wilson, and this is my first year with Lodi Unified. I'm at Creekside Elementary. I hail from the great state of Colorado. The purpose of my attendance at this evening's meeting is to influence and ultimately appeal to you to amend Policy 1 of the Collective Bargaining Agreement under the subcategory of salary and other compensation to include the advanced degree Master of Social Work, MSW. Currently, the policy includes the advanced degrees Master of Arts, Master of Fine Arts, Master of Science, and Master of Education. Theoretically, if I held an advanced degree in filmmaking, dance, or photography, I would earn the annual advanced degree stipend. Please know I'm not trying to slight these particular degrees. I began my teaching career in 1996. I currently hold a culturally and linguistically diverse education license in Colorado. And in California, I have single and multiple credentials with bilingual authorization for both. I intentionally chose to earn an MSW because I wanted to pursue professional opportunities that would allow me to blend education with human services. I wanted to continue to positively impact children and families and expand my sphere of influence to also include large system development. At Colorado State University, I earned 73 graduate level credits. From what I understand, my degree is typically double, if not more than double, the amount of credits required to earn many Masters of Education degrees. The advanced social work courses I took enhanced my understanding and knowledge in the areas of social work in school settings, small and large client service provision, large system, community, and organizational change, advanced social welfare policy and practices, and research/data evaluation and analysis. I feel the human service background I have is more relevant today than ever as we tackle mental health and well-being as a nation and as educators. Integrating trauma-informed practices in our schools, understanding how to better serve disenfranchised populations, offering compassion and a voice to the LGBTQ community, and knowing historical events that influence policies aimed to create equality for students with special needs and those from culturally and linguistic backgrounds are critical to building an inclusive learning community. The December-January California Educator publication, when I got my first one, is filled with articles, highlights, and feature stories that address ever-changing needs of children and families represented in our communities. As a teacher at Creekside Elementary, I know I am better equipped to listen, be compassionate towards, educate, and serve our kids because of the Master of Social Work degree I hold. I urge you to honor, value, and financially compensate educators with MSW degrees in Lodi Unified. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you, Amy.
Wilson.
Thank you.
Wilson, thank you.
Amy with an I.
Thank you, Amy.
From
Not like I
Colorado.
got it spelled. Okay.
Colorado State, where? Fort Collins or Greeley or where?
I grew up in Boulder, Colorado.
Boulder, that's
I got about 12 inches of snow.
University of Colorado then.
University of Colorado Boulder. I went to University of Northern Colorado for my undergraduate degree.
Awesome.
And Colorado State University for Miami.
That's my alma mater, Northern Colorado.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have Mike Casal, Lodi Middle School. Mike? Mike's the math teacher at Lodi Middle School, and don't play golf with him because he'll whip you.
I don't know about lately.
Yeah. If you want, if you're playing scramble, if you understand that, you want him on your team because he drives the ball far, and that's the one we're going to hit next. Okay, Mike, sorry.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Washer, and fellow district employees. My name is Michael Cazal, and I'm the math department head at Lodi Middle School. I'm here tonight on behalf of middle school department heads regarding department head compensation. We at the middle school level have followed protocol regarding this issue. After meeting with a school board member last week, it was suggested, that we bring this issue to light in a public forum. This issue has been discussed with Mr. McKilligan, Mr. Palmquist, and LEA. We have been told by both the association and Mr. McKilligan that the collective bargaining agreement is the agreed upon language between LUSD and LEA regarding employment/employee compensation. We as middle school department chairs would like to know why this is not being followed. It clearly states on page 9 of the collective bargaining agreement as to how department heads are to be compensated. And we at the middle school level are recognized as department heads. We have put together packets for you for your information regarding this issue. They can contain contractual language regarding department head pay from the collective bargaining agreement, email communications with Mr. McKilligan and the association, and a brief overview of Ed Code that covers collective bargaining. We have many questions but no answers, such as it has been implied that there is a previously agreed upon language regarding this issue. Where is it? Why is it not in the contract? The district and association say the CBA is agreed upon language. Then why are we not implementing it? We would welcome a meeting to discuss this issue at any time with school board members and district personnel. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. That concludes our public comment session, unless we have anybody in the audience that would like to come to the podium. If not, we'll continue with the agenda. Routine Agenda A. I would like to note that I would like to pull item 810 from the consent agenda A to table the matter to February 8th. Oh, I'm so sorry. My gosh, I forgot that. I'm so in a hurry that I really apologize to the board because I know you have some good stuff. Mr. Neely, you can start.
I'll be real quick about it. I went to the LCAP meeting last night at the district office, and it has changed so dramatically since those first ones that I went to when we first had it. Lisa, it was outstanding. You guys did a great job. Your people did a great job. Uva, is he here?
I think he's going home.
Think he went home? Okay. He put together that what do you call it, the thought tracker? Or?
Thought exchange.
Thought exchange. Wow. That's a powerful tool. He brought that from another district, brought that idea to us. And so he has done great. Very happy with it. I hope we get the good results out of it. Thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Besides saying I saw your name on the retire.
It's coming
you
up.
didn't run this by me.
It's coming up.
You did not talk to me about it.
It's coming up, George.
No, nothing. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Connexet.
President Nava. I met with Representative Jerry McNerney at the Valley Robotics Academy site last week to check out our robotics program. And I just want to pass along to the board that we are off to a great start. The things that I liked the most was the hands-on education. Everybody was, and I mean everybody, was actively engaged, and there's a whole lot of smiles. So I think what we have on our hands is the Big Bang Theory for high school. It's looks like it's a great program, and I want the people in charge to keep doing it.
Thank you,
Very
Mr.
impressed.
Connexet.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. I just... Mr. Porter?
Can I talk?
You bet you can.
I'd like to point out that with the the accountability report, that our district pretty much killed it on third grade reading. And I'd like to give great congratulations to our K through 3 teachers and support staff and administrators in those areas, because we really went far and above on the state average. And that's something that should be pointed out as one of the goals for the district. It was reading by the third grade, and we went well and above that in terms of our scores. So for those teachers and those paras and the administrators involved, great deal of thanks from the board for doing above and beyond the call and coming up with some great results. That just shows the power of pointing out a particular goal and trying to achieve it, and they obviously did. So my thanks, and I know the board thanks you for the great job. The other area is my concern about what was brought up earlier during the 20 minutes for comments from the people in the audience, and that is more and more teachers are cleaning their own classrooms. And that's because our custodians are completely overwhelmed. And here we are building these $70 million buildings, $130 million renovations, and we're not even able to keep them clean, which means you're going to have to repair them. So when we start looking at hiring and where money needs to go, you don't build a house from the top down. You build it from the bottom up. And that means we need to take care of the people that are going to clean our facilities and do the great job that they do, and take care of the teachers involved as well. Because we shouldn't have teachers grading papers, staying late, helping kids, writing letters of rec. At the same time, they have to vacuum, clean the tables, and so forth, because they know that their custodians are overworked. We should have clean grounds and well-manicured areas. A happy school is a clean school. Happy schools are clean schools with happy teachers. You can combine all that together and you got great kids in a place where they want to function and learn. Where you have an area where it's not taken care of, where it's disregarded, it's not clean, you're not going to have a positive environment for those kids to learn. So we need to create a happy environment. To do that, we have to build it from the bottom up. And that means starting with our custodial staff and then working with our teachers. So I want to point that great need out. Don't take them for granted. They work very, very hard. And now our teachers are picking up the slack. And I'm getting a few emails from some teachers on what they're doing, and I'm shocked. So please, including this board, we need to recognize that we are understaffed at the lower levels in terms of keeping our schools clean and well functioning.
President Nava?
Yes, sir, Mr. Knaxet.
Actually this is regarding the public comments. I want to make sure that staff takes a look at the master's degree. I can't imagine one master's degree being more valuable than another one, and make sure that we are in fact following the contract regarding the department head stipends. I wasn't quite following what they were talking about, but let's double check on it, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knaxet. Thank you, Mr. Porter. I agree 100% that your clean environment provides a lot of pride for your environment, your classes, your school, all that. I've been a proponent of that for many times. You are what you eat, and if you keep those environments clean, you take pride, and you lend a helping hand to keep it clean. Thank you, and hopefully that we can make some adjustments there on the help that we need to have to keep these schools clean. I want to continue on with the agenda. I anticipated a little bit before board comments, but on the consent agenda A, I'd like to pull item number 810 from the consent to table a matter to February 18th meeting. Can I have a motion on that?
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and second to table the item 810 to the consent agenda for February 18th. All in favor? Excuse me,
All motion.
student vote?
Yes.
Okay. Board vote? Can we handle it through the computer? Okay, voice vote. Mr. Neely?
Aye.
Mr. Eberly?
Aye.
Mr. Freitas?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
So-
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carries 7-0. All right, consent agenda A. Any items that want to be pulled by the Board of Education?
Mr. Nava,
Yes, sir, Mr. Neely.
I'd like to pull item A9 for a couple of questions.
A9 for a couple of questions. Anybody else from the board?
Mr. Nava?
Yes.
I move we approve consent agenda.
Excuse me, one moment, okay? Any members from the audience would like to pull any items on the agenda? Routine agenda? Okay.
Okay, I
I'll
move
leave
we approve consent agenda A, items 1 through 8.
I'll second.
Been moved by Mr. Knaxet, second by Mr. Eberly to approve the rest of agenda A except item A9. Student vote? Board vote? Are we going through voice? Oh, man, you got me on this. I don't know how to do this.
Oh, I'm trying to get back.
Okay.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet, Mike.
I voted.
Oh, we're not on the right spot.
Oh, I'm on recognition.
Now I'm
Yeah, I'm on recognition.
I'm off.
Can I join the meeting?
I've done twice.
Okay, all of them on recognition, I guess.
They keep slipping off.
I already voted.
I got it.
And it kicks him out.
Yeah, it kicks it off. Yeah.
What is fatal error?
Uh-oh.
Quick, fix it.
Esports.
Just like that. Now, ooh, look, you're magical.
You're not an E-fleet, are you?
Clearly.
Toggle bomb.
I love having problems with toggle.
I just have to join meeting. There we go. Has everybody voted but me?
Yeah, you're red.
It's just me, huh?
You're in the red.
Not anymore.
Yeah, you still are. Okay,
I voted.
motion carries 7-0. Okay, Mr. Neely, you have item A9 for discussion.
Mr. Nava.
Yes.
All right, item A9, school accountability report cards. Mr. Khan, where does the information come from to develop those report cards, and who actually produces them, that kind of thing? Give us a little background on it.
So there's various sources of information. CalPED's certainly one, Aries another. Our accounting department is responsible for the assembly of all of these items, so they do a tremendous job.
They do, they're really good. Who does the information on the condition of the school?
I think the condition of the school comes from the Williams reports.
From the Williams
primarily.
report?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so, all right, I tell you, there's a wealth of information there. There's also caused me to start going and looking at some other districts and their report cards as well. So it's an interesting comparison on that. You see why things are you find out some interesting information about class sizes and that kind of thing in there as well. So that's all I wanted to know. Thank you very much. So we do it, but we get information from all over. And we do not produce that information that comes from the Williams report on the condition.
It does.
Okay.
We do also have Keenan go through and evaluate all of our facilities every year.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether some of that information.
Could you find that out for me, please?
I will, yes, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Also, I have a question, follow-up question on that. So
Okay.
then, if it's produced by the Williams Act group that go around and look at the schools, do they go to all schools, or is it like when they do kind of a sampling and then assume everything else is okay, or do they just go to Title I schools?
It's a sampling, and they have to return every year to the same schools. But also, our staff is responsible for providing reports directly to the county on that. Things like wastewater status and the oil and water separation facilities and that type of thing as well.
Okay.
With that, I'll move to approve.
Okay, moved by Mr. Neely to approve, second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Porter. Student vote,
Aye.
board vote.
Look at that right there.
I'm getting good at this. Okay, so almost, all right. Motion carries 7-0. All right, we'll go to consent agenda B.
Move to approve.
Been moved by Mr. Neely to approve, second by Mr. Knapsack to approve consent agenda B. No student vote on this. Board vote? Motion carries 7-0. Personnel matters?
Mr. Donovan.
Yes, sir, Mr. Freitas.
Well, looking at the list, one of our absolute favorites is on here, and, that's Lisa Katowski. Lisa, you've done an amazing job for us, and your loss is going to be greatly felt. The board thanks you for all the amazing job you've done, and I'm sure this is the first of many accolades that we're going to have between now and your eventual retirement. But I've said it once, I said it before, if we vote this down, does she have to stay?
That's the rule.
That is the rule.
That's what I understand.
Anyway, begrudgingly, I will move to approve.
Move to approve personnel matters.
I'll second, but I want to make a comment.
Mr. Jordan Neely seconds, but he wants to make a comment.
I remember when I first got to this district, and we had a meeting, and Lisa was up there, and then she was up there again, and then she was up again, and I said, "Who is this lady?" And somebody explained to me, she does everything that nobody else wants to do. And that's what I learned about Lisa, and it's like, they said, it'd be a huge box if she brought all the hats that she wore, Lisa, thank you so much. It's going to be real different without you around, because when all else failed, I could always call you and find out what's going on. So thank you very much for everything you've done.
Mr. Nova?
Yes, sir.
Lisa, I'm going to miss you. All the questions I have, all the staccato going right at you. But one thing I don't miss is that way you look right back at me with those intelligent eyes going, well, you're not very smart. So I'll miss your intelligence and your glib and your candor and all that. You're a true professional. You will be missed by me.
Mr. Porter, you're not finished yet because she's going to be with us for a while here.
It's all right. I can get a little sentimental right now.
Okay, thank you.
Sound like she's retiring.
Thank you. We have no student vote on this one. Board vote, please.
Thank you for not retiring before the LCAP.
Motion carries 7-0. Okay, comments from student representatives. We're going to go with Trinity Escorpizo from McNair High School.
Thank you, Mr. Nava, members of the board. I'm Trinity Escorpizo, ASB president of McNair High School, and I'd like to share a report. From January 27th through 31st and February 3rd through 7th, we are holding the response to intervention schedule for the second time this year. RTI gives students a 30-minute time slot after every period for tutoring other periods or open session activities. For student government, we held talent show auditions from January 28th and 30th. And currently, we are preparing for talent show as well as creating preparations for the Morada Middle School visit. Vietnamese Student Association held a performance during brunch on January 3rd and held one again on February 3rd. For recognitions, our women's wrestling team ended their season placing first in league, and both our JV and varsity esports teams took first place at League of Legends Championships. And for upcoming events, we have our talent show on February 19th in our theater, and the theater class is preparing for the spring show and is currently holding auditions.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Trinity. Dylan?
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer. My name is Dylan Rogers. I'm the representative for Lodi High School. For student government, on January 23rd, we held a very successful blood drive with 69 pints of blood being donated. Performances, presentations, and events. Lodi had a very successful Winterfest week where staff select the students on the court. We were happy to congratulate Adam Prieto for Winterfest King and Claire Selna for Winterfest Queen. In our special student staff recognitions, our speech and debate team, Pamela Deco, took first place in the Rotary Speech Contest. And we were very proud to announce that last Wednesday, Lodi High's varsity basketball team defeated St. Mary's for the first time in 6 years with a final score of 55-47.
Awesome.
For our academic Block L rewards, on March 3rd, this coming, 37 seniors will be awarded the Gold Pin, which is seven consecutive semesters of earning a 3.8 GPA and above. In our co-curricular, last Saturday, our Science Olympiad team won silver in the events The Right Stuff and bronze in Anatomy, as well as Write It and Do It. In our upcoming activities and events, Lodi High is excited to start our all-new spring sport for boys volleyball.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for your report.
Is that a CIF sport?
Yes.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nava.
Yes, Mr. Freitas.
Trinity, you played in the Unified Basketball League, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Tell us about that. How was that?
It's very fun to play and help our special ed class. I know some schools they chose from their basketball teams, but for our school we chose from our leadership classes. And I feel like it's more important having teammates that support you rather than teammates who want to be the best necessarily. I think our team we hang out outside of the games. Last week we went to their fourth period and we watched a movie with them for a while. And I feel like the rest of our helpers we're all there to support all the kids, so it's really fun to play.
Very nice. Thank you, Trey, for sharing that. And I saw your game, and it was absolutely spectacular.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, let's go with comments from employee group representatives.
Good evening, President Nava, members of the board, public. First, I want to, I think Hillary is still here. There she is. Thank you to Hillary Hillard, her staff, Michael, and the tech department for coming out here. I understand the past 3 days and really getting the live streaming going to make this equal for both facilities, for members who have been working all day to still be up to date with what happens at the board meeting, so we really do appreciate that. The live streaming is is working, from what I understand, so thank you again. Also want to thank the district, Dr. Washer, for allowing us to have an event with nearly 100 LEA members, Manteca teachers, Tracy teachers, Stockton teachers, I know I'm forgetting, Lincoln teachers, who came out a week ago to learn about student debt and loan forgiveness from our NEA guru on the subject and presenting at McNair High School in their theater. So I believe Mark is here. Thank you for your facilities, and it was a great presentation and helping our new teachers. And I was surprised at how many teachers thought that it would not apply to them, and found out that there are different kinds of loan forgiveness, whether it is a high need school or just being in a public school, to get those loans forgiven to help them stay in this profession and pay off that student loan debt. So thank you again for the use of those facilities. We would like to thank Porter and the board members and the parent who spoke up about clean rooms. And as teachers are being asked to do more and more on a daily basis and deal with kids with trauma, they are picking up the slack. And we know as part of the LCAP goal is to decrease absenteeism. Well, looking at the news, we have both flu viruses going around, and we have this new virus that's, come from overseas. And so it's even more important that all of those tabletops, countertops, desktops are cleaned. And I know that kindergarten is the only mandated one on a daily basis, but if you've walked into a middle school and a high school, and there are bodies that, we can just clean all those surfaces and make it a healthier place for both students and staff to work. And in sweeping up floors, I have members who have bought their own vacuum cleaners and dustpans and all kinds of, they have to do the Keenan videos to use the wipes to disinfect their classrooms. So more and more time is spent away from correcting teachers or correcting papers or writing lesson plans, and trying to make the facilities up to par and clean and where people can be healthy. So we certainly would love to look at that. And at last night's LCAP meeting, that was part of the thought exchange and concerns from the public also. So as we move forward, we'd love to see that increase for time. I know we had the CRT team helping with the facility here. Love to see more time on sites to improve our working conditions. I think the parent put it, if you've ever been in a classroom where someone's been sick, getting that response then takes away from lunch duty or cleaning up after breakfast. So we'd love to see that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Michelle. Any other group representative employees? Comments? If not, we'll continue on with the agenda. We have discussion regarding the future use of Central Avenue site. Mr. Khan.
Thank you, President Nava, members of the board, Dr. Washer. The board may recall directing superintendent to investigate the possibility of some type of secondary program at the 19 South Central Avenue site after the Joe Cerna Charter School vacated and moved up to the Acampo Road site. Board may also recall that, just as an estimate, the starting point at retrofitting the existing structures on that property would have exceeded $5.5 million. I do recall at least a couple board members just saying, well, then just tear it down. So we would like to bring back an action item at next board meeting to do just that. But the idea that Business Services has presented to Superintendent is to investigate the possibility of placing a preschool on the site. And our analytics covered several different metrics before we finally arrived at the idea that possibly this would be the best use for the district and for the district's programs. First and foremost, it's a 2-acre site. It would be very difficult to place any larger children or students there, high schoolers, middle schoolers, upper elementary schoolers there. We saw the difficulty that Cerna experienced with the crowded space with 360 kids. We looked at the possibility of a performing arts center because the sanctuary had a stage. That was too expensive. We considered many aspects of the current political environment, especially under Governor Newsom. The board may recall applying for the preschool expansion grant at both Creekside and Lawrence, I believe. And this is a focal point of Governor Newsom's budget, both on the general ed side and the special education side. There's also talk of the potential for the some $300 million in state facilities money to move into preschool structures and not just K-12 structures. There are very specific requirements to the types of space that preschools must operate in. They are larger classrooms. They must have bathrooms. So the idea that it could become a preschool would also scale to other types of programs if the board initially chose a preschool. At some point in later stages with the bathrooms in those rooms, in the larger size rooms, it could accommodate special ed type programs as well. And if it remains a preschool with those types of rooms, it would actually be a pretty good location for an inclusion program, that being preschool gen ed and preschool special ed students matriculating in the same classrooms. One thing further, I'll speak for myself. I was struck by the board's desire to maintain an educational service at that site. And when we look at the demographic in the blocks around that 19 South Central Avenue property, they are one of our low-income areas. It is a place that young families, and especially lower-income families, can afford. In all likelihood, the probability is they would be the ones having children in this day and age too. The board knows we are facing a decline, at least in this year. The decline this year almost engulfs the entire decline that we projected over 3 years in the multi-year projection. This would add to our ability to earn revenue. We understand preschool is not mandatory, so it would take a great deal of vigilance and a great deal of planning. We also understand that even if parents do choose preschool, they can choose half a day, which is about $5,000 a year in revenue, or a full day, which is about $12,000 in revenue as well. The demolition the cost of that is unknown. However, the board may recall at the December 17th regular board meeting, the board did approve a demolition project, that being the one for Needham Elementary School. That dollar amount was $418,000. I'm honestly at this point not sure whether the church would be a more expensive demolition, less expensive, but I do feel somewhat comfortable stating that it's got to be comparable. They're roughly the same size square footage. The church is, I should say, a younger building. That notwithstanding, there's still plenty of asbestos and lead and those types of things in the buildings as well. So what Business Services will ask Superintendent for at February 18 regular board meeting is the ability to present a contract for an architectural design firm, SVA, to plan, design, manage a demolition, and then provide the board with the schematic design only of what 10 classroom, 200 student preschool might look like. I'm not sure if the superintendent has any further comments. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Mr. Neely?
Thank you, Mr. Khan. This is a discussion, so please don't get upset by any of the questions here. It's just a discussion, okay? I'm not real pleased with how this whole thing has gone. You know, I was pretty upset when we put that new roof on there and the change order added about $600,000 or came out to $600,000. So we just dumped a lot of money into that school. That's point one. Point two is, yes, it doesn't meet DSA standards, but it does meet standards for some kind of charter school. Now, that's something that could be done with it, so we need to keep that in mind too. I love the idea of preschool because it's been shown that the younger that we can get kids to start in learning, the better they're going to do, and the better chance that we have to have them, reading at grade level by third grade. So that's important. But tonight, well, let me back up. Let me just talk about non-public schools and how much money this district spends on non-public schools. And I want to explore the idea of Lodi Unified using that as a non-public school, because we're spending millions and millions of dollars on non-public schools. And I have to believe that if they're doing it for a profit, we could get in there and we could do it and save ourselves a lot of money on that. I appreciate your recommendations. I thought that at one time we talked about demolition on that being closer to $1 million because of all the different buildings and the asbestos and the proximities. And I'm also concerned about when you start tearing that thing down and asbestos is fine until you disturb it. And then you have lots of problems. So are there going to be problems in the community around there? So what are going to be those issues? So these are the things that I'm not ready to, unless we have a really good discussion tonight that convinces me otherwise. I'm really not sure that we've investigated all the possibilities here. So that's just as much to my colleagues down here, or more so, really. I just want to get the conversation started. Yeah.
Mr. Heberly?
Yeah, I do have some. Thank you. Wow, you kind of stole some of my thunder there, mister. So anyway, even though there is a possibility that it could be used as a charter, it still just absolutely goes against my grain. Knowing my life's work about trying to protect people, of sticking anybody into a non-field act building, and I can't do it. So I was one of the ones that brought up the idea of demolition, and it could be clearing the site down to dirt, or it could be, hey, if there's sections that can be saved and used as classrooms, well, that's fine. That's something that at that time I thought we should look into. One of the other things that I thought about the site is excuse me, is that it is really in an important area where we can actually help and serve the population there. They are on the lower socioeconomic end and very densely populated and getting denser all the time. And so I think, having the preschool there, let's talk about it. I'm not opposed to that. But what I don't want is the preschool to occupy the whole site. And the reason for that is that last time we talked about it, we were talking about how that site could kind of dovetail into the future needs of the Henderson site. We all know, if anybody drives around Lodi, the west and the south ends of Lodi is where all the development is taking place. And that the Henderson site could potentially be used, idea only, is as kind of a pressure relief valve for the homes coming in out of the area, and it's not going to stop. Growth will continue, and that's really the only areas where it can. So then you could potentially move a program from somewhere, not just saying Henderson, to move a smaller program off-site onto that site at Central, and then it still gives us the flexibility, and that's the main thing I'm talking about. Is the Central site and the Henderson site could give us flexibility to do things. And so I'm not opposed to looking at a preschool there, but that is not the only use that I envision for that site. So I'm pretty lukewarm to this proposal as a standalone proposal. I see it as a portion of a bigger solution for what may be coming.
Mr. President?
Mr. Khan.
So the proposal that we have from an architect at the moment that we would like to present to the board includes demolition as needed, because even the 4-track of classrooms may not be convertible into DSA buildings. And the feeling from the architect right now is it would be way too costly to do so. But after the demolition, what would really occur is a programming exercise. So we could easily have the architect recast his proposal to investigate a preschool plus another program, something other than a preschool, and present several opportunities to the board, just in terms not from a program standpoint, but from a physical space point of view. So it would look like a report that would give you a schematic of where maybe buildings would go. Maybe it would be 50 on this 1 acre piece of land. And remember, the property is actually divided by an alley, 1 acre and 1 acre. So it would easily be dividable, but on this side you could have some type of intervention program, on this side a preschool, or I'm out of ideas after that, so I'll lean on the ed services side to come up with something else. But
Mr. Nava?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Porter.
I know that we're in a discussion stage of this. I think obviously we need a demolition, but I'd like to instruct, maybe we push forward with staff to present better ideas for us for the use of that facility. Obviously, we're going to demolition it. And then, of course, Mr. Heberly, Mr. Nelia brought up other ideas as well. But maybe we should have another discussion about the potential use of this area after demolition, and further discussion at a later time at a board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Mr. Freitas?
Can I just interject one
Yes.
thing? I did forget about that alley. A lot of times, and it all depends on the city utilities, because they use alleys for their utilities, water, electrical, and so forth. If there's a possibility, and it's happened in other areas of the city of Lodi, where they might be amenable to abandoning that alley and then turning that land over to us.
Actually, the board owns that alley right now. That alley was ceded many, many years ago to the board. So.
Wow, what a brilliant idea.
It's not an easement. It's an alley.
Just beating you to the punch. Hey, man. I'm slow,
Okay.
but I'm good. No.
Okay, Mr. Knack's
Even the trash enclosure between the two sides of the alley, it faces away from the school. It almost looks like it's the apartment building's trash enclosure, but it's the school district's.
Perfect.
Okay, I wanted to throw in a couple of ideas for further discussion. We just spent $3.5 million on non-public schools. I would like for us to look into that. I've been educated between meetings that we don't always get to choose where our students are going to go, but I think it's worth looking into, turning that into some kind of a non-public school for our students. One thing I don't want to happen is for it to be an outside charter school, so I don't want to leave it open for that kind of a takeover. Our charter school is fine, but I want to make sure that it's not, left up for grabs. Another thing I had in mind, I thought that might not be a bad idea, is using some of that area as a mini wilderness area. And I'm sure our science and teachers and staff can come up with field trips for our students into that area. So there's got to be a lot of land left at 2 acres. Those are just some ideas. You wrote them all down, right?
They're all in there somewhere.
President,
Okay, good.
President Nava.
Okay.
President Nava. if I
Yes,
may.
Mr. Khan.
With the board's permission, I'd like to ask direction to at least proceed with the demo.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
board may recall everybody remembers the facilities master plan. This would be the exact same process involving multiple stakeholders, just a lot smaller. So if the board's comfortable on the 18th, we will bring back a proposal from architect that is recast to include the demolition, and then to walk the district through a master planning program for that 2 acres.
So, Mr. Khan, then you'll come back with two things. One will be for the demolition, and the other will be for possible uses of the facility.
It could be the same proposal, but yes, sir, there would be 2 distinct
So
parts of the
we could
proposal.
discuss possible use and then vote on the demolition. Is that correct?
That would be correct. And if the board does choose to demolish or to accept the proposal and then continue with program planning for the site, I guarantee the board, we'll just put up 7-foot no-climb fence around it, and we have plenty of things we can leave there while the board is determining what it wishes to do with the site.
I think it's a good idea, Mr. Khan. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Khan? So far, so good. Demolition, and then come up with a good program going into the deal. Okay, we have some public comment.
Through President Nava to Mr. Khan. With the preschool grant that we wrote, my understanding that it was intended for specific sites to fix those facilities on site with preschool for more inclusion model as what it was intended. What I hear tonight is that taking away from what we wrote the grant for at specific sites and doing a whole separate instead of the school sites that we kind of looked at remodeling in the grant?
Absolutely not. We can't change the terms of the grant. We've only applied to expand Creekside and Lawrence. So I'll apologize if I said anything confusing. What I'm trying to communicate is there's a lot of preschool money coming out of Sacramento right now. We heard it. And that's, okay.
Okay, so a totally new program expanding.
It would be
what
complete,
was-
unrelated to Creekside and Lawrence right now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Khan. I think we'll have a plan of action. Any other comments? All right.
We got somebody.
I'm Doug Zelke. I do teach at Washington Elementary. Greetings, President Nava, Dr. Washer, and members of the board. I just wanted to share with you that I do live at 416 East Locust Street, which is right in the Joe Cerna, or I should say former Joe Cerna area. I do know very well firsthand there are a ton of young families and young children. I'm not ready to say I love the idea of a preschool. I'm not up here saying I don't. I probably should say in full disclosure it would personally benefit me, but I'm not allowing that to sway my ideas. So I think anything that can build a sense of community in that area would be fantastic. Even if you walk out my door, I'm in the, I get Lawrence and Larson mixed up. That's Lawrence, right? Lawrence, yes. But I'd only have to walk a block, and now I'm in the Heritage attendance area. And I just have to walk 2 blocks, and then I'm in the Washington attendance area where I teach. So it's an extremely segmented neighborhood, and I would love to see something that could bring it all together. One of my hobbies is walking, and I can say, as I look at the facility, I'd be all in favor of it being knocked down with what's currently there. I mean, I see windows duct taped together, and other things don't look too good either. And I just think that, you know, as we moved Cerna out of there to the Houston site because of all the extra costs, you know, even if we're looking at charter schools, you know, how long is it going to be before we're facing significant costs again for that facility? All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, Mr. Khan, anything else?
That's all I got.
Okay, let's continue on with the agenda. We have some board advisory committee reports. Anybody on the board?
No, thank you.
I attended the Houston Committee Advisory meeting, and I think they're on point, Mr. Khan, before you sit down. They've got everything done and they're ready to go. They said they had their keypads or something was the last thing, and they were up and running as we do an update on Cerna.
On the Cerna program at Acampo Road?
Yes.
I know of nothing
Everything.
else due the site other than 2 things. That's the irrigation that was promised to the site in the courtyard. I don't know if the board saw the ice cream parties that were being held on the, my understanding is that the irrigation was supposed to start on Monday. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's actually in. And we're still waiting for the water tank.
They were very content. Everything was that
Yeah,
close.
well, there's one bathroom there they're very discontent with, or uncontent with, but since the board may recall that the Acampo Road site is also one of the next projects that will start this summer as well, and the bathrooms are one of the big things. So we'll try and keep the community from just understanding that we know grout is not the thing to put in a boys' room anymore forever, but they're going to get that replaced over the summer. So
very good.
Great. And they're working on their charter, and they'll be ready to go hopefully by the next month or so, I think.
Very good. One thing before we adjourn, Mr. Khan, it just comes to my mind. We need to have a needs assessment for the custodial help or any help that's needed at schools to keep them first class operating.
So I've already sent the email out
Thank
tonight.
you, sir.
So.
Thank you.
Mr. Nava?
Mr. Eberly.
Can I make one comment?
You bet.
I do want to commend Dr. Washer and her staff for having us at this location instead of John Muir. Nothing against John Muir, but the multi-purpose room was really noisy with all the machines in the background and so forth. I think this is working out really well. What I do like is that it is being live streamed still.
Yes.
So I see it going really well. So if you hear anything from, I hope you folks can hear. It just seems, I like that we're